You've got back the mayoral chains, but despite the disruptions of the last couple of weeks, you may have heard yesterday we spoke to a number of residents in the city of Ekurhuleni who are completely dissatisfied with how the city has been run.
Yes, this morning I'm already speaking to the city manager. There is a solid waste crisis that we are sitting with at the moment. Or before the motion of no confidence, we had already started putting plans in place. However, emergency recourses have to take place now because for 2.5 weeks, it has not been done. So yes, yesterday afternoon already, after speaking to the media, we started with our meetings and that, and business has to carry on.
One of the issues, of course, that was raised yesterday when we're speaking to Ekurhuleni residents was the idea that so many waste collection services contractors were not being paid. That's the common complaint. Let's talk about the debt of the city. 1.44 billion rand in the red?
Yeah, you know, when you have a look at stage 6 load shedding, the first stage put us in a 2 billion rand, you know, it cost us 2 billion rand as a city. This time round, I'm not too sure. We haven't got the reconciliation as yet. But I think every business, every city, every small business is suffering out there due to the load shedding circumstances, which has a huge dent within your cash flow, because you have to then spend budgets on generators, on fuel, on all sorts of things to keep the city going. And that's also precisely why we fast-tracked the IPPs, is to try and get a cushion with our electricity so that we could carry on with business.
So what, you're 1.44 billion rand in the red, you're saying this is all due to load shedding. Does that mean then the city is collapsing?
No, the city will certainly not collapse. We are busy with proper and stringent measures to cushion that again. Our forecast is looking at December. We will be looking at a much better trajectory at the moment. It is not 100%, but we are looking at it. We have been working on it, and our projections are that we will be a lot more in a stable position again by December.
I'm asking you about the city's collapse because, I mean, is there a greater indication of that than refuse not being collected? And your critics are saying you're now really having to choose either to pay for bulk services or to pay workers. That's how dire the situation is.
Yes, I think also a lot of corrective measures that has and are being taken place is with management. Departments have not done what they needed to do. A lot of spending took place in the previous dispensation that we are trying to correct as well. There are a lot of departments that need, specifically management, that needs to pull their weight. Now, when you have situations like you do where you are sabotaged, where instability starts happening, and that is what we said, stability has to happen within the city, because if you have an unstable situation like what we have had, it brings the work morale down. And when you've got that, then it means that your workforce is not doing what they should be doing.
When you say you're being sabotaged, what do you mean?
Well, we've had a lot of cases where mini substations have been vandalized to a point of buckies just going in, chains being put around them, them being pulled out of the ground, water meters just being knocked over, where all that type of thing. And also when you look at the waste crisis, I have been going to a lot of the depots to have a look and see myself what is happening on the ground. And the staff on the ground are definitely pointing fingers at management and middle management as well. for trying to destabilize this, So there is a bigger problem that we have to attend to. There are investigations that we are busy with on these allegations. So it is a huge problem to get the workforce. And the thing that I always say is we have a workforce of 16,000. And what really baffles me is why there were so many contracts. So if you've got your workforce, why are they not doing the work? And this is where the investigations start taking place.
You've been accused of focusing on the more affluent areas in Ekurhuleni. A lot of your critics will say you're not seen enough in the townships, for example, that you don't respond as readily to issues that might arise in places like Tembisa and other places where there are indeed a lot more pressures, in fact, than in the suburbs.
Yeah, I think that is a very baseless accusation. When we took over the administration, I brought in a program where every Friday and once a week in the middle of the week when I'm not in meetings, that we go out on the ground. I physically go to various areas, and 80% of my program has been in townships. I've also been accused of not paying enough attention in the affluent areas. So no, definitely not. When you look at our programs, 80%.
All right, as mayor of Ekurhuleni, how soon do you promise to resolve the waste removal crisis?
Well, this morning, as soon as I'm finished with the interviews, I'm having a meeting with the city manager. She has already prepared a dossier for me on what the status is. And we are busy doing corrective measures. So as soon as possible, we are pushing for this to be corrected. So I am hoping that in the next couple of days, we will definitely see a difference. I haven't seen the document and the status as yet. But after this morning's meeting, I can have a more clearer answer. But my attention will certainly be focused on that today.
With piles of rubbish in the streets of Ekurhuleni, people might listen to us and say, hang on, you're blaming Eskom because that's what you say has brought Ekurhuleni deep into the red. You're blaming the previous administration. You're blaming Sabotage. You're blaming everyone by taking responsibility for the city that you said you could run. Are you, Tania Campbell, fit for purpose?
Yes, and this is exactly why we are doing these corrective measures. As you say, the buck stops by me. If I do not do these corrective measures as what I'm doing this morning, then, I am not fit for purpose, but we are busy with that. I will be paying a lot of attention to the solid waste crisis.
Can you give me a deadline? Can you give me a deadline where we don't see rubbish piling up outside, let's say, of the local McDonald's eatery, of places like Birchley, Norcombe Park, where those residents will have their issues as far as waste removal resolved? Can you give me a deadline? By when?
No, I can absolutely not give you a deadline because I have not seen the reports yet, and I will be seeing the reports.
You don't live in Ekurhuleni. You don't know what's going on there. Do you need a report to know that there are all these places full of rubbish?
Of course, I live in Ekurhuleni, and that is precisely why we are working so hard to get it done. But
you just don't know when that will happen. You can't commit to when people will no longer live with rubbish around them. You can't commit to that?
What I can commit to is absolute dedication to get that sorted out. That's what I can commit to, and I will commit to that because it is a problem that needs to be sorted out as a matter of urgency.
Dedication, not a deadline. Appreciate your time. Tania Campbell, the newly re-elected Ekurhuleni mayor.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.